Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today on Money Breath Magic, we are talking about a topic that is so important, so near and dear to my heart, and something that I think people are missing so much when it comes to wealth. Today, we're talking about your wealthiest timeline. What I see over and over again with people in the business world is they're constantly chasing a number. They're constantly chasing 10K months, 20K months, 30K months, whatever. The goalpost continuously moves. They think that this number is going to make them feel wealthy. Today, I'm going to completely shatter that belief for you and help you truly understand what wealth actually means. I'm going to show you what your wealthiest timeline actually means. What does it mean to feel wealthy? Today, we're going to go through what your wealthiest timeline is, what's keeping you from living that wealthiest timeline, and then I'm going to give you step by step of how you are going to start shifting your current reality to get you aligned with that wealthiest timeline that you have defined for yourself. And hi, if you're new here, my name's Sue Ellen. I'm a CPA and I'm a money and manifestation coach, and I help entrepreneurs completely transform their relationship with money. On this channel, we cover the strategy, the mindset, the nervous system. We cover it all to help you not only make more money, create more wealth, but feel good while doing it. So let's dive in. Have you ever been in the position where you're actually making money in your business or even in your job, but you're just constantly feeling like it's never enough? Or maybe you're constantly chasing this number, thinking that you're going to feel a different way once you hit that number. Once you have that amount of income, then I will feel wealthy. Then I will feel worthy. Then I will feel successful. But you hit that number, and maybe for a little while it changes, but then you're right back to your baseline of feeling the exact same way you felt before you hit that number. Maybe you're making more money. You're finally hitting those numbers, and then you're realizing like, this actually isn't fulfilling me. That's because wealth is not just a number in your bank account. I experienced this so much when I was in a corporate job. So I am a CPA. I was in the corporate world, worked my way up for 20 years, close to, and I kept making more money. You know, in accounting, we start off with a pretty good salary. I would get promoted. I would get more money. I would work my way up and up and up. And I made myself up to an executive level in a huge company, making multi-six figures. And I got there and realized how miserable I actually was. I was not fulfilled. Every single time that I got a promotion, I started making more money, my spending went up. So I was buying the things that I thought would make me happy. I bought the house, I bought the BMW, I bought the Gucci bags, I traveled, I did all of the things. But regardless of what I was buying, what I was spending, what I was experiencing, I was searching for something in the external to make me feel wealthy, to make me feel full, to make me feel satisfied, content, and happy. And the thing about it is, nothing in the external can make us feel a certain way. Maybe for a little bit. It was always nice when I got this 20% pay rise or 10% pay rise, and I was able to go buy these things. Of course, driving a BMW felt good, but then it becomes normal. Of course, buying a house felt good. I felt successful. I mean, that's the American dream, right? Go work your way up in corporate and buy a house. I felt successful for a little bit of time, but then it just becomes normal. It just becomes part of your everyday life. And the thing about it is even though I had that house, I was so unfulfilled in every other area of my life. In the work that I was doing, I was not feeling fulfilled. And the people that I was surrounding myself with, that I was having to work with, where I was actually living. I bought a house and I didn't even actually want to live where I was living. So the things in the external are temporary. They can give us a temporary feeling, but we are going to get brought back down to our baseline. We have to change from the inside out. When we change how we feel on the inside, when we change our experience on the inside, our external reality mirrors that. And so that's what I want to start out this video with today is Your financial reality, whether you're making a ton of money and you're just like not happy with where you're at, or you're making no money and you're constantly on this chase, all of that is just coming from the inside. So when we can transform the inside when it comes to our financial beliefs, our mindset, our nervous system responses, these old stories that we've been telling ourselves since childhood, when we transform all of that from the inside out, our financial reality in the external will change, because our financial reality is not just random. It's not just luck. It's a pattern that's been playing beneath the surface via our beliefs, our mindset, and our nervous system. So that's what we're going to start shifting today. So going back to my story, as I worked my way up in corporate, as I was making more money, I felt like shit because I was, again, searching from something on the external to make me feel whole and complete in the internal. And what was great about it was, as an accountant, I learned all of financial strategy and I was able to set myself up from a strategic lens to create wealth. I knew how to save money. I knew how to invest my money. I knew how to budget. I knew like what you should actually do from a strategic lens of how to grow my wealth. What was missing for me was the internal piece of the puzzle, was the inside, was the beliefs about money, was the beliefs about how I needed to work in order to make money, was the beliefs of I had scarcity around spending or investing in myself because of some things that happened in my childhood and the way that I was raised. So the internal side of money, I didn't address until 5 years ago when I went through a horrible breakup and found myself on the bathroom floor, as one does, like searching for like something, please make me feel better. And I was listening to a breakup podcast. And on that breakup podcast, one of the girls mentioned this word manifestation. And I had never heard that word before. And so, she was saying how much manifestation had changed her life. And that sent me on a journey to go learn about manifestation, energetics, how our energy actually transforms our life, how our belief systems work. It led me to breath work and learning how to regulate my nervous system. And once I learned this piece of the puzzle, once I learned how to shift the internal, my entire world, my entire life has changed. And I am truly living my wealthiest timeline now. Now, I want to explain, what does that actually mean? Before I left my job and I was working up the corporate ladder, I would have defined wealth just as how much money I have in my bank account. I would have said I was wealthy when I would hit a certain dollar amount. And funny enough, that dollar amount keeps moving, right? Wealth is not just the financial piece of the puzzle, which of course that's a piece of it, right? Like we want to know how much your assets are, how much debt you owe, the net of that is your net worth. That's like what we would consider wealth. But wealth is so much more than that. And when you start transforming your internal world and you start realizing that there's so much more to money than just the number that flashes on the screen when you open your bank account, you realize that wealth is all around us. Wealth is everywhere. There's actually 5 pillars of wealth. I forget who coined this, but you have your mental wealth. You have your health, would be like your physical health, your mental health. You have your social health. You have your wealth of time. And then you have your financial health. Once I transformed my life, and I started seeing these other areas of wealth in my life, the whole world opened up for me, because I started to realize how wealthy I actually am. And I started to define, like, what does my wealthiest timeline look like? If I think about the 5 pillars of wealth and how it's not just my financial wealth, what does my wealthiest timeline actually look like for me? And for me, a huge thing is my time. I feel wealthy when I have my time freedom. And when I was in this corporate job, I had no time freedom because I was in an executive role. I was working way more than 40 hours. I was tied to my computer. I couldn't just go run and get a coffee half of the time because I had back-to-back meetings. There was no lunch breaks. I was always connected. I was not wealthy because I didn't have my time. My mental wealth, when I think about how much knowledge I have gained over the years and how much I have invested in my mind, in my belief systems, in my nervous system, like I think about how wealthy my mind is and how much that has actually changed my life and what I have manifested and created in my life. I have a wealthy mind. I think of social wealth and how many amazing friendships that are aligned and the people in my life that even living here in Barcelona, where I don't even really know many people yet, but the people that I'm attracting into my life are people I can have deep conversations with, are people who are also entrepreneurs, who are also on this journey of traveling the world or being expats and living around the world and leaving their hometown and leading a life that is so different than many people choose to live. And so, like, I am wealthy when it comes to my social engagements and the relationships and the people that I'm attracting in my life. And then I have my physical or my financial wealth. And of course, like I mentioned, I have been able to build wealth in my life because of my background and I know how to strategically build wealth. I was able to quit my job and could have lived for years without even working, but I have been able to start over and build this business to call in financial wealth. And so when I was sitting down and I was defining, like, what does my wealthiest timeline look like for me? It was that I get to work when I want and where I want. I have the time, freedom, and flexibility. If I want to take a Monday off or a Friday off, or I don't want to take calls on Mondays and Fridays, or if I only want to take calls one day a week, or I want to block my calendar for 2 weeks, if I have complete autonomy over my schedule, and that makes me feel wealthy. I feel wealthy when I'm putting myself in situations that bring me joy, that light me up. When I'm putting myself in rooms with people who inspire me. When I'm putting myself in situations where I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm expanding. That's my mind. That's my wealth of my mind. That makes me feel wealthy. And so I sat down, and I do this often because our timelines are constantly growing and expanding as we grow and expand. And so when I'm thinking about, like, what is my wealthiest timeline, I'm not just slapping a number on, okay, I will feel wealthy when I'm making 50K months. Not at all. I am thinking about, like, how do I want to feel? What feelings do I want to experience every single day? What are the predominant emotions that I want to experience every single day? What experiences do I want to have? Where do I want to live? Who do I want to live with? Who do I want to attract into my life? Who do I want to spend my time with? What type of clients do I want to work with? What type of conversations do I want to have? That is how I am thinking about what is going to make me feel wealthy. And there's this concept in quantum physics, which I'm not a physicist, so I'm not even going to try to explain it, but that says that there are infinite timelines all happening at this exact very moment. And we are all made up of frequencies, right? We are all vibrating. Everything in this universe is vibrating at a specific frequency. Your thoughts carry frequency, your emotions carry frequency, our bodies are at this table, everything in this universe is vibrating at a specific frequency. And so our wealthiest timeline, those things that you decide for yourself would make you feel wealthy, are vibrating at a specific frequency. And so if we can get ourselves to match that frequency, we therefore will attract our wealthiest timeline, those things that make us feel wealthy in life. But the thing that's holding us back from matching the frequency, law of attraction, like attracts like, is our belief systems, is our subconscious beliefs that are beneath the surface, is the dysregulation that we have in our nervous system. Because all of that are vibrating at a frequency that are matching your current timeline. And so if you have this vision for yourself that you get to, I'll use myself an example, quit your multi six-figure job, build your own business, pack up your entire life, go live in a foreign country like Spain, experience attracting friendships and amazing community and opportunities to speak and teach about what you love about. All of that holds a specific frequency. What is holding us back, again, are these limiting beliefs that we have beneath the surface that tell us it is not possible. It's programming that's been in there since we were children that tell us what is possible for us, what we're able to attract in life, what we're able to create in life. It's those beliefs about scarcity, that I need to hold on to money or I'm going to lose it, or that all wealthy people are bad, or that I will never be a wealthy person. I just am not wealthy. It's the beliefs telling ourselves that we're just bad with money, that we're not worthy of money, that we're not worthy of the life that we want. All of that is sitting beneath the surface and vibrating at a specific frequency that is not matching that of our wealthiest timeline that we desire to experience. And so, because we are vibrating at a different frequency than that timeline, we are acting in a different way than what that timeline requires us to behave. So for instance, if we have beliefs beneath the surface that tell us that we're just bad with money, or that tell us wealthy people are bad, or that tell us that we are never going to be a wealthy person, whatever it is around money, if we are carrying out those beliefs, we are going to be taking action that align with those beliefs. We are going to be experiencing a reality that aligns with those beliefs. Because if we said, and I've used this example before, but if we have a belief that all millionaires are bad, that all wealthy people are bad, why on earth would we ever take action to become a wealthy person? Why would we ever take action to become a bad person in accordance with that belief? If we tell ourselves that we're just bad with money, we are going to avoid dealing with money because what's the point? We're just bad with it. We just accept our fate. We just accept what happens. We don't take accountability because it feels hard. There's resistance because there's a belief that needs to shift beneath the surface. And it goes a layer deeper than that, and it's living in the nervous system. So the way that our nervous system works, our nervous system, our mind, number one priority, it just wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep stability in our life. It wants to keep us safe. And safety to the nervous system is what feels familiar. So if in our past, growing up, what felt familiar was struggling with money. Our parents struggled with money. There was always scarcity in the house. There was never enough. There was, always fighting around money. If that's what our experience was, and that became just part of our story, that my family's just bad with money. I'm bad with money. There's just never enough money. My family doesn't make money. All of that sitting beneath the surface feels familiar. So if you go, even if you want to, even if you have a desire to create massive amounts of wealth in your life, and you start to create massive amounts of wealth, it is going to trigger your nervous system because it feels unfamiliar. You've never had the experience of growing up and feeling like a successful, financial, wealthy person. So what happens is we have, and a lot of this happens subconsciously, is when you create this wealth in your life, in your business, you are going to somehow sabotage and bring yourself back down to what feels familiar. Being broke, struggling, always feeling like it's not enough, etc. And so we don't shift into our wealthiest timeline just by wanting it, because wanting it isn't enough. Because again, we can want something that is outside of the familiar, that sounds amazing. We think it's going to just create this amazing, incredible life for us. But if it feels unfamiliar, we aren't going to feel safe having that thing. Our nervous system is constantly trying to predict the future. It's constantly trying to look and say, okay, what is going to happen? Because it feels in control. It can create safety if I know what to expect. It is basing your financial future on what happened in the past, and it's keeping you in that same cycle. And so your current actions and beliefs and the steps that you're taking are just reinforcing what your current belief system, what your current nervous system set point is. All right, so if you feel like you're not on your current wealthiest timeline, or you don't even know what that is, I see that a lot. I'm going to give you some steps today that you can start implementing to start shifting yourself into your wealthiest timeline and living your best life that feels good. The first thing you're going to do is you're actually going to define, what is your wealthiest timeline? What does wealth actually feel like to you? What does it feel like? Do you know what wealth feels like in your body? I think I want everybody to close their eyes right now. And just take a deep breath in. Maybe put your hands on your heart. And sigh it out. When you think about wealth, when you think about what makes you feel wealthy, how does that feel in your body? Not an amount of money, not a number. What feeling do you have in your body? Do you feel safe, security, joy, happiness? For me, a lot of times the feeling of awe. I just feel in awe with life. Connection. What will make you feel wealthy? What does wealth feel like in your body? And just breathe into that for a minute. All right, you can open your eyes. That is true wealth. That feeling that you generated in your body, that is the feeling of wealth. That feeling can be generated in your body at every moment of every day. Through micro moments of your day, you can generate that feeling of what wealth actually feels like. So let's go back to, what does your wealthiest timeline, what does it feel like? What are you experiencing every day on your wealthiest timeline, in your wealthiest timeline? How are you showing up? What conversations are you having? What are you seeing around you? Where are you living? Who are you living with? How do you feel every day when you wake up, when you step out of your house? What type of work are you doing? Who are you working with? Think about, feel into, what are the feelings that you are having in this wealthiest timeline? And so the first step is to define that for yourself. So many people don't even know what would actually make them feel wealthy and full. It's the feeling of fullness. What is going to make your life feel so full, so complete? What is that for you? So journal on that this week. Like, what does my wealthiest timeline actually look like? And then as we get clear on this timeline of how you're spending your day, what you're doing throughout your day, what you want to experience, what work you're doing, who you're working with, then we can get a little more strategic and think about, like, okay, financially, what is that enough number to live that wealthiest timeline? What is enough? Because again, we can be chasing a number just because social media tells us that we need to be making this number to feel like we're enough, to feel like we have enough, to feel like we are successful. But if you can feel wealthy now, and it's not to say that you don't want to strive to make more money financially, it's going to come naturally. Once you start generating these feelings, these emotions, start acting as if you are on your wealthiest timeline, The abundance, the financial abundance just comes. It is a byproduct of how you are shifting internally. It all starts within first. So, how do you want to feel? What do you want to experience? What feelings, emotions are generated in your body? We shift that first. The financial abundance, the financial reality follows right after. So, once we get clear on where we're at, what we want to create, what our wealthiest timeline actually looks like, how much enough actually is, what enough feels like, then we want to understand where we are now versus where we want to be. What is the gap? And it's not like, okay, I'm making $0 now and I want to be making 10K months. I'm not talking about a financial gap. I'm talking about who are we? Who are we being? Who is the version of me in this wealthiest timeline? How is he showing up every day? What actions are they taking? What are they putting out into the world? How are they presenting themselves? How are they carrying themselves? What events are they going to? What are they sharing on social media or not sharing on social media? Like, what is that person in your wealthiest timeline? What are they doing today? And what am I doing today? What belief systems does this version of myself hold? And what belief systems do I have now? How does this person feel every single day going about their life? And how do I feel now? And when we understand the differences in our beliefs and how we're acting and how we're showing up in the world and how our nervous system is responding, that is our work to do. That is what we need to actually shift from within to get our identity aligned with that, which is on our wealthiest timeline. And as part of this, like, think about, how is this version of me interacting with money? How do they feel when they interact with money? What financial behaviors, habits do they have with massive amounts of wealth? If you want to generate massive amounts of wealth, you also have to take on the responsibility of having massive amounts of wealth. That means having financial systems in place. That means having a strategy for your money. That means having investment plans. That means having goals. It means having a structure in place around your money. You're not avoiding your numbers. When you're making massive amounts of wealth, your money is a priority. And so when you're thinking about this version of you in this wealthiest timeline who has tons of abundance in their life, how are they interacting with money? That should be a piece of this reflection as well. So when you define this for yourself, for example, in my wealthiest timeline, I only work 3 days a week. I work Tuesdays, I work Wednesdays, I work Thursdays. Monday and Fridays are creative days, or they're days for me to go explore Spain or go explore other parts of Europe or just go sit on a beach. But for me, in my wealthiest timeline, I work those 3 days of the week. That's when I take my calls. That's when I do my focused work. I need to start acting and treating my business and how I show up in this wealthiest timeline. I need to be taking the action steps of, I only work those 3 days a week. And so it's, for me, this is what I've gone through in my past, is I've always associated hard work, hustle, burnout, busting your ass equals success, equals the ability to create financial success in my life. But on my wealthiest timeline, I'm only working 3 days a week. And it's, if I believe that this wealthiest timeline is actually true, that I am in this timeline, that I believe that it can be possible for me, I need to stick to the schedule that I set for myself. Because if I start making decisions and taking actions outside of that timeline for myself, I don't actually believe that that is possible for me. This isn't to say, okay, sometimes stuff comes up, right? No big deal. But the actions that we are taking need to be in alignment with this timeline that we set for ourselves. So what is it for you? What are the actions that this version of you is taking? What are the standards? What are the boundaries? What has this version of you in this wealthiest timeline defined for themselves? And start taking actions that are in alignment with this timeline. Then as you're taking action that's in alignment with this timeline, start noticing how things are working. Oh, wow, my business is still successful, even though I'm only doing focused work 3 days a week. Wouldn't you know? Look how wealthy I am. One thing that I do every single day is I am out looking for how wealthy my life is in all areas of my life. When I go on a walk and I'm looking at the sky and it's blue and the sun and the weather here in Barcelona is amazing, I feel into the feeling of wealth. Whenever I go into the local coffee shop where they know my name, they know my drink order, and I get to have a conversation with a friendly face, I feel so wealthy because I have community around me in a foreign country where I know nobody. When I get invited randomly to a breathwork journey on a beach, I feel so wealthy because I'm being invited into community, and that is something that makes me feel wealthy. When I get to have a conversation with a client or a potential client, or even just someone on the street or a friend or someone I know, that is a deep, meaningful conversation. And I get to talk about topics like this that I'm so passionate about. That makes me feel wealthy because I get to do work that inspires me, that makes me feel good, that makes me feel lit up. That I'm not sitting in an office every day doing work that I hate. Like, I feel so wealthy. When I found a euro on the ground yesterday, I felt so wealthy. That is financial abundance coming into my life. And I'm constantly recognizing how I'm feeling wealthy because to me, wealth for me is experiences and joy and happiness and awe and feeling in love and feeling in connection with people, feeling healthy, feeling like my mind is strong, that I have time to pour into my mind, into my belief systems, into my nervous system. And so whenever I have time, I have my freedom of time, I feel so wealthy. And I'm constantly reminding myself of how much wealth I have in my life, in all areas of my life. And I'm constantly sending gratitude to God, to the universe, for all of the wealth that is in my life. And that is literally the frequency of my wealthiest timeline. And when we are feeling that frequency inside of us, when we are generating those feelings, those emotions, those beliefs, when we are transforming our inner world, our outer world matches it. And that's why you continue to have these experiences that create that wealthy feeling for yourself. It starts from within. And so we just bring this back to the old version of me who was in a corporate job, who had their accounting career, on paper looked like she was making it. She was an executive at a top company making hundreds of thousands of dollars, had a beautiful apartment in Chicago, right on the river, Michigan Avenue, had the Gucci bags, had the clothes, had all the things. The only difference between that version of me and this version of me now is I have completely transformed my belief systems about what is possible for me. And I have completely transformed my nervous system to recognize the patterns that are happening in my life whenever I get triggered, bring it back to safety. And I have transformed the actions that I take, the boundaries that I have, what I am willing to accept, what I have defined as wealth for me in my life. And now this version of me has my own business that's successful. I'm doing work that is actually lighting me up, that I love. I love to talk about these topics. I am creating wealth in my life. I am living somewhere that is incredible, incredible. I live in Europe. Like, what? Like, what? I'm meeting people. I'm attracting relationships into my life that light me up. I'm having conversations with people that I love. I'm feeling in awe and joy and gratitude and just so wealthy in the experiences that I get to have. And it's because I shifted who I was being, what I was accepting, what boundaries I had for myself, and what my wealthiest timeline. I got so clear on what that was for me, and I started being her now. Your wealthiest timeline isn't something that you are going to experience when something happens, when you have the money, when you have the relationship, when you have the house, the car, the whatever it is for you. That is not wealth. That is not your wealthiest timeline. You start experiencing your wealthiest timeline when you start feeling and generating those feelings, those emotions, that experience within you now. That puts you on your wealthiest timeline, and that is going to open up massive amounts of wealth for you. Financial, mental, physical, social, all of the wealth, all of the experience that you want to experience will open up for you when you start transforming your inner world. That's all I have for you today. I hope you got something valuable out of this conversation. I have something really fun and exciting coming soon. I am going to be launching a free workshop that's going to take you through the 5 biggest gaps that I see holding people back from living out their wealthiest timeline. Details on that will be dropping soon. It's completely free, and you're going to get some juicy, actionable things that you can take and implement in your life and in your business that are going to help you get on that wealthiest timeline for yourself. So don't miss it. I look forward to seeing you there. And I hope you all have an amazing week ahead. And I will chat with you all later. Bye.